information about our project with you. I'm sure we'll learn a lot from the other presenters, and I already have and also from you, the participants. So we're here to share information about a project that we began developing over a year ago. It received IMLS funding as a 2-year pilot project. It's designed to test our ideas out about building community around this topic that we know is both timely and urgent. And that is the intersection of generative AI to open educational resources. Like some of you may have experienced, our IMLS grant was canceled a little more than halfway through the project. But really, thanks to the diligence, hard work of our partners at ISKME, we have made significant progress and we're continuing work on this project. So in this session, we'll walk you through our approach to building community, this relationship of AI to OER. We'll ask for your feedback throughout, and we hope to learn from your experiences and ideas. We'll also share ways that you can join in on this effort. Oops, lost my screen. There we go. This is our plan for this presentation. We'll talk some about the project background, and then go into 2 salient features of this program. There's an AI Fellows Program and an AI OER Community Hub. We'll talk about next steps and leave plenty of time for questions and answers. So a bit of background. What was UVA thinking? So back in 2023, when we were fashioning this proposal, it was clear, I'm sure it was clear to all of us, that AI would change, well, everything. And Bethany and I had spent several years running an OER grant program for faculty. It was a successful program in that faculty created a range of creative and useful resources, but we noticed some persistent challenges that will sound familiar to you. In fact, I've heard them highlighted in 2 presentations so far. Time. Faculty were doing incredibly demanding work with only small stipends. The budget couldn't come close to offering what they really needed, which was course relief. And that time crunch shaped a lot of what we learned and shaped a lot of our planning for this project. We also saw other barriers: lack of ancillary materials, not enough content, not enough of the right kind of content. Deploying AI, though, would present a lot of challenges, and Bethany will review some of those shortly. Very reasonable concerns about the impact of AI on scholarship, on teaching, on learning. That's made the process of exploring this topic a controversial one, and that's a good thing. We should be having ongoing, productive conversations, both philosophical and practical, on these topics. So we identify these opportunities, strengthen collections, develop ancillaries, provide tools to help faculty streamline and support the creation and adaptation of OER, and also provide a space, and perhaps for some of us, another space for rich discussions of the application of AI to OER. And what was next? Well, for us at this planning stage, it was to find a partner to work with us to achieve these goals. So what was ISKME thinking? Well, Peter Musser at ISKME was already thinking about developing collections to address what he was seeing as teacher and student AI literacy gaps. ISKME partners with many groups, and he was starting to investigate partner needs, identify interesting use cases. What he was seeking was a direct connection with an institution or a system that would allow a collaborative exploration of the issues and a testing of our ideas. So let me give you a little bit of background on ISKME, and perhaps you know about this group. It's the Institute for the Study of Knowledge Management in Education. It's been an important player in the open education world for some time. It's also a frequent collaborator with consortia. I'll just mention that it's been a very good partner with Vivo, which is our Virginia Library Consortium. It holds events, it offers training, it hosts an authoring solution. That's called Open Author. It offers consultation services, manages a digital library of OER called OER Commons. And Peter is already using generative AI successfully for metadata augmentation and creation using local models that he runs on a personal computer. So he's a good person to check with about how he's doing that. So we decided to partner. Our primary driver, as I mentioned before, is the time and effort in creating, revising OER, and also the need for community-based conversations and solutions to the problems that we're all facing. So this was a partnership, UVA Library and ISKME. Our job was to secure the funding and to initiate the project and also to advise through all the stages. And ISKME's role was to mount the hub, curate the resources, and conduct the fellows program. So this is a point that Bethany and I would love to learn what your drivers are. So you all are here because you have a motivation to explore this topic. Could you possibly type in chat? Feel free to unmute yourself to talk about what your drivers are in exploring AI in this way. Oh, so interesting, Marissa. Thank you for mentioning that. And it may turn out that OER Commons will be useful. Certainly something we could talk more about. So I have another question. You can continue to mull over the first or perhaps look at the second one. What does AI mean for the work you do? And when I think about this, could be a single word or it could be a thesis. Um, it could be excitement, hope, progress. It could mean dread, confusion, despair, all of those things. It could mean professional advancement. It could mean professional ruin, depending on where you are and how you're situated. So if you want to share anything about what AI means for the work that you're currently engaged in, or the future of your work, disruption, adaptation, opportunity. Hmm. Yeah. Some excellent insights. So as you go forward with this work, you're seeing challenges in your workplace or in other, no matter what uh, areas are affecting the kind of work you do, but what challenges are most important to you or most salient or the ones you would like most to overcome? Uh, do have some alignment here. Some need more concrete, positive, effective reasons for making use of it. Mm. Definitely hard to keep up. Well, I imagine, James, that we'll be saving chats. Will we be saving chats for these sessions?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so
Yep.
please continue to add any comments as I move to the next slide. Oh, I had one more question here. What are the opportunities? So I've mentioned some of the opportunities that seemed most exciting to us. Strengthening collections, opening the door to providing more content more relevant to more faculty. Um, there are aspects of open education, open pedagogy that we have found very interesting to explore. So what are the opportunities that seem most important to you right now? Mm. New job skills, higher order thinking, that is the dream, isn't it? Yeah, this question of use cases is so interesting. I am actually going to jot that down for future um, really positive, creative use cases aggregated in a way that we can see what others are doing to promote learning rather than destroy it. So we came up with an IMLS funded project to develop a community hub for resource sharing, and then to facilitate an AI OER fellowship program and to host community discussions. So those are the three big aspects of the program we ultimately developed. And who's it for? Well, we're hoping to appeal to a broad range of professionals, librarians, educators, instructional designers, students from K-12 through higher ed. This is actually an important emphasis for ISKME, which develops its services around this broad range of community members. So we want to welcome participation from a varied community, promote open sharing of AI best practices, and also build a flexible, long-lasting platform that grows with user needs.
So, thanks, Judy. A kind of a great introduction, and I've been enjoying reading all of your chat comments as well come through. So, most of us are here. We have this grounding, this understanding of OER, and we know that OER is built on a number of foundational promises. The first is that low and no cost course materials create a more level playing field for student affordability and access. Everyone has access to the materials, not just those who can afford to pay for an oftentimes pricey text or ancillary. We also know that it enables the fostering of equitable pedagogical practices that allow for customization to address contemporary realities, provide localization, and surface marginalized voices. The nice part about OER often is that it tends to be evergreen. The content generally does not go away at the end of the semester, like we see with so many inclusive access texts. And students have access to the material and the subsequent updates going forward. So, of course, there's also the promise, and this is really what intrigued us, of what AI can bring to OER in the form of a variety of different things. And some of these include the assistance with translating content and recommendations for localization. This possibility for learning pathways to be customized for different learners based on their needs, their skill levels, as well as an ability to transform speech to text and vice versa. Other, potentials that we got excited about initially were this idea of the generation of alt text for all the images we like to include in our work, as well as providing guidance for accessibility formatting. Many of us are looking at the Title II changes that are coming along and thinking very much about the work that needs to be done around making our materials more accessible. And of course, there are the ancillaries, and there's the potential for the ease of development of these really crucial and often, really sticky things that, inclusive access sometimes offers. So, how could AI help to create these? So one more question, and again, I've been enjoying reading all of your thoughts here, and some of you already touched on this, but what promises do you see? We've highlighted these. What are other promises that you see, you've experienced with your own work? It can be related to OER. It can be, a side of OER. But if you have any examples, links to anything that, you've done, you want to share, we'd certainly welcome you to pop those into chat there. And I see here already, as more of an ask, Marissa had mentioned, like to see a book with special issue or whatever with use cases, so, something like that. If anybody has anything, again, that they would like to share, put out there, or consider those opportunities. Give you a moment to add your thoughts there before we kind of move ahead. Yeah, or web something that's generally available. Great. Something that, a lot of people, we hear this a good bit, you want to see it in action. You want to see how it looks and functions. Work people have done. So while you can kind of, continue to think about this, we'll move ahead and we will talk a little bit about the concerns and we'll keep bringing this up because as Judy mentioned, it is really critical that we do consider these very valid concerns. There's considerations we all have to parse through around copyright. How do you attribute work that has been co-authored with AI? There seems to be some ever-shifting, changes in licensing there. There's concerns about accuracy bias and the skepticism of content that has been co-authored or authored using AI. And there's also this issue of the sticky values around the things that we all talk about and that are legitimate concerns, the inequities of, a digital divide, the ethics, as well as the environmental cost of AI. So part of this project is we were curious to explore all of this. And again, one more participatory thing here. If you have some concerns, and I think again, in the previous question, some of you surfaced some of these concerns, but if you have some additional ones, I'm just going to pause and let you add them here, because I guarantee your concerns are probably those of other people who are considering using AI in this work. Looping back through over reliance on AI, yeah, inauthentic tone, retention, how to apply, yeah, the multiplication tables. I've heard a lot of people talk about math and the introduction of calculators and how that revolutionized all of that. Students losing critical literacy, thinking and literacy skills. I like that. Students using it for learning or to avoid learning. Is it sort of a reflexive default that they go to? Yeah, these are all excellent considerations, and I think, things that we're all sort of sussing through. What we've sort of used as kind of a compass in this work that we're doing is this underpinning by both fellow recommended and ISKME stated guiding principles for the use of AI in the world of open. So, this is kind of an excellent deep dive to take. I'm going to put the link here into chat as well. And you can take a little bit, you know, uh, you know, look through this, take a look into it. You're going to see some of the ways that ISKME at least is approaching this from their standpoint. So that link is there for you to take a closer look at. Next slide, Judy. In a little bit, Judy's going to talk more about the hub portion, but I'm going to talk to you about the other component that we were very excited to build into this grant, and it's the OER and AI Fellowship. We broke it down into numbers here. So we have 8 fellows who are currently working with us. 2 are designated as resource designers, and I'll share a little bit more about what that means in a bit. So, what they're doing is they are taking part in a year-long learning community, a bit of an adventure for all of us as we're building this community. We're learning from one another. And this is just an amazing group of people, having worked with them. It's a community of people I classify as thinkers, they're doers, they're leaders, they're collaborators, and they're all around inspiring people who are just interested in this intersection of OER and AI. And all of this is facilitated by Megan Simmons. She is the amazing education program manager at ISKME. So she's in charge of keeping us all on course. She plans these engaging monthly sessions, and she fosters a real sense of community and collaboration through interaction, through discussion board posting, all of these, amazing things. So, who are the fellows that are part of our year-long adventure that we've been having here? I keep saying it because it is an adventure. I think Judy would agree for us, for all of us putting this together. It's something that we have not done, in terms of leading something like this. So it's been a learning experience all around. The selection process was a challenging one, and ISKME and UVA worked very closely to select the participants. We had an outstanding pool of over 60 applicants. We were very intentional in selecting OER leaders and mentors in both higher education and K-12 settings, who've been using Gen AI in some way to improve efficiencies in their own workflows, utilizing AI to innovate within their curriculum, and or examining ways to leverage its potential to transform courseware. So we really have formulated this engaged community of different professionals. We have varying institutions, including faculty, teachers, librarians, and everybody comes from a bit of a different area of specialization, which makes for that really robust conversation. We have educational technologists and also people with a deep background in the principles of instructional design. You can see that our fellows come from us from across the United States. They represent a broad range of skills and institutions. And I'll pause here on the next slide to let you run your names over there, their names, who they are, where they're coming from. So, what exactly is the fellowship, and what are some of the goals we hope to achieve by the end of this? Our fellows, as we mentioned, meet monthly with all of us under Megan's facilitation, and we'll dive into some of the focuses of these sessions in a moment here. But during the development of the grant proposal itself and the planning phase, we discussed really what we wanted to see emerge from this experience, both from the standpoint of building the hub itself and for the fellows' participation in it. we wanted them to engage with AI tools. It was critical. It was a critical component. And we wanted to open a pathway for them to explore with and use various tools that we proposed that they brought to the conversation together. And we wanted to see them sharing what they've been using in their own instructional contexts and think through those experiences and really cast sort of that critical eye to how it went, what others can take away from it. As Judy's going to discuss here in a bit, we also wanted for there to be a lasting impact of the fellowship through the curation of resources on an open hub, and we'll share that again here in a moment. The creation of these resources, something that we'll discuss further, is going to lie primarily with the resource designers, but we're also in the process of curating things to share. Each month, we hold an hour-long session, which doesn't seem entirely long enough to really cover everything, but it's a good start that aims to really immerse the fellows in a topic related to AI and OER. In advance, the fellows often read and share content, engage in discussion, and come prepared with ideas, perceptions, and questions. Our goal really is that for it to be a fellows conversation driven hour that we're together. These discussion boards have yielded some solid community building and shared resources that we're all learning from as we move through. And finally, we really wanted this fellowship to nurture a community of practice with people having a safe and inclusive space to share, experiment, discuss, debate, and engage with different tools and their applications in OER. So the following is a roadmap of our from our initial kickoff in March through February of 2026, when we'll wrap up the year. As you can see, we've tried to lean into various aspects of AI and its impact on OER. We had a very critical, crucial ethics conversation early on, and it helped to really inform a lot of our later discussions and the approach. We also learned from one another with a show and tell of sorts, where we had the fellows bring different AI tools and uses and how they've interacted with them. And since curation of resources is a key component of the fellowship, Peter Musser led us recently through a curation and evaluation session that's already yielding additions to the OER Commons. Our most recent session included some hands-on work that was very helpful about this idea of AI and accessibility in OER. And upcoming in our our August session, Monica Chan, who's one of ISKME's research associates, is going to be talking with us about research approaches and scholarship. So as you can see, the remainder of the fellowship is filled with additions of sessions that range from tool showcases to conversations surrounding open pedagogy, peer review of open content, and more. So we're curious at this point. We've thrown a lot of topics out here, a lot of information. We're curious for your feedback. So there's two questions here. Mainly, are there topics that you think, if you were building a similar fellowship or learning community, that you would add to this? And alternatively, if you've taken part in any formal or informal cohorts, whether communities of practice, whether it's within your institution. We'd love to hear a little bit more about it, what you did, how that sort of played out. So again, I'll pause here for you to have a moment to share. And again, feel free to use your microphone if that's an easier way to share. Yes, go right ahead. I see Manisha, if you want to go right ahead, go
Yes,
for it.
my name is Manisha, and I'm a doctorate student in open education with Athabasca University. I've been part of Canadian Association of Research Libraries Community of Practice. And there are 3 initiatives which I was part of, and I really found it very valuable. One was conducting a scan, because we all are reading, fellows are reading, and then to share the scan of resources, could be websites too, because it is so difficult to keep in touch. One really gets burnt out. And not everybody can trust the AI summaries which comes up, but if it is reviewed by somebody is suggesting, then people spend more time and you trust the source to read the resources listed. 2, creating, amplifying the community of practice is what I call, which means we creating a lot of events, networking and dialogue opportunities for other practitioners in the field. Couple of examples are a series of free sessions, 3 sessions about Indigenous OERs, and AI in language revitalization, because we all know that AI can spit out junk too, like not authentic sources. So how can we use AI, and in what capacity? Are we using it as an assistant? Are we using it as a companion to learn? So also, some were series of sessions. Some sessions were just coffee chats. People sharing, because that micro learning was equally effective. Sometimes some topics are too specialized to get a lot of people interested. But if it's just a micro learning, you don't mind bringing your coffee at a time, or even lunch and learn session. The third was toolkits which were created, and one of them was I remember toolkit about marketing or communicating the progress of open education within institutions. It had a very good component about evidence-based, like how to conduct surveys. And I think that's institutional research too. So the 3 things was coming up, like with environmental scans, literature reviews, 2, amplifying the community, which is improving our practices. And number 3 was, creating resources and toolkits to even have a survey, because we're talking about open education. So we should be able to duplicate, replicate, and save our time, because small institutions, we do not have the time to create these resources. And I remember one of the resources which was really used a lot was about peer-to-peer, how to conduct a peer-to-peer review in the class to get forms to be signed, and best practices in creating OERs in a class. Case studies was to spread it across 2 to 3 courses. So project management matters, and how the instructor took care of all, collaborated with the open education unit, and did the licenses signing, Creative Commons and licensing, because in open publishing, even student authorship. And that was a lot of work. Students were good in editing each other's work, and this was a master's level where students were involved in creating an OER. I find it very valuable to be part of community of practice. And right now, it is sort of a community of practice with GoGN, where we are doing a book study about We, which is indigenous pedagogies. I just find it very fascinating, even the book study, because who reads and who has the time to read alone? So it's done by GoGN's, which is Global Graduate Network, students, current doctorate students, and the alumni. So these are the 2 segments across the world. And I think as what's more fascinating, which will happen in September, is that we are planning a land-based learning in Jasper. So, an opportunity to network and actually meet the experts who I really admire in the field um, is really good. Like, I think that's much more deeper learning is what we're interested in. Meaningful building meaningful relationships. So thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. And I think you raised so many really good points about the importance, of that community and all of these, factors, that contribute to making a community and initiatives. So definitely, thank you for sharing. And I did want to note in the chat there, Marissa had mentioned there about. Yes, thank you. If you wouldn't mind putting a link to your community there, that would be great. But you had mentioned here, Marissa, as well, that about any tips or, kind of getting things, people together. How do you keep, the momentum going? Full disclosure that this was a paid fellowship, or this is a paid fellowship for the fellows. So part of them working through this is they do receive compensation for it. But I completely understand, sometimes, and that's something I think we can all maybe think through, what are ways that we've seen. So if you have tips, strategies that have really worked well for sort of maintaining momentum over a year in any type of community of learning, I think, feel free to add them to the chat, but definitely hear you there. So moving ahead here, the other component of the fellowship is we have two resource developers who are working on developing instructional materials and models. This is basically things like hands-on practice activities, scorecards, rubrics, chatbots, some additional things that we'll be excited to share once they're completed. The goal of these resources and models is really to present helpful, in some cases, replicable activities for content-specific integration. They're using AI as what they call a thought partner in the design, that they're modeling what they are asking others to do. So they're engaging with AI to create open materials. And they'll also use this year to reflect on their triumphs, their challenges, what worked well, what didn't, and share this out as part of their feedback for this. They will be receiving input and feedback, of course, from the other fellows. And in previous sessions, they've shared what they've been working on and received some really valuable feedback. So at this point, I'm going to turn things over to Judy to talk about the curation process. She's going to take us a tour of the hub, and but certainly keep adding questions and thoughts to the chat area.
So much information out there about OER. About AI, it's a torrent. Even in the more narrow realm of AI and OER, new material emerges every day. So ISKME's curation process focuses on gathering together valuable resources, ideas, and projects in one spot. Our fellows are undertaking this work under Peter's expert eye, this work of helping to curate the collections. And the end result, we hope, will be a valuable, living, ongoing resource that'll help us all to stay informed about this ever-shifting landscape. So we'll return to ISKME and looking at an important feature of the ISKME world, which is OER Commons. OER Commons was launched in 2007. It currently includes 120,000 resources across disciplines, media types, and purposes. Resources that are created with ISKME's authoring program, which is called Open Author, can feed directly into the Commons, but materials can come from anywhere. So as long as it's an open resource available for educational use, it's eligible for inclusion in the Commons. Authors can link to, upload works created with other tools and from other environments. I've lost my notes and now I found them. So ISKME also supports hubs. A hub is a customizable branded resource center on OER Commons, and you can see a number of their hubs, just a small selection of the hubs that ISKME has created, where a network of users can share collections, they can administer groups, hold conversations, share news and events associated, related to their goals. So we might see projects, districts, states, consortia, other open initiatives make use of hubs to bring together educators um, in these ways. And you can see here on the left, here is our brand new AI OER Community Hub. And I'll be super adventurous here. And Bethany, tell me if you're seeing the browser.
You are good.
All right. So here is our AI OER Community Hub, and we'll spend just a little bit of time looking at the various features of the hub. I think we'll start with the curated collections. So this is Peter Musser's team, evaluates submissions to OER Commons, and he has organized the AI OER material into these very basic categories. These are all open educational resources about AI and or created with AI. Any Creative Commons license is accepted or another license that permits free use of the material. So I am going to take a quick look just to show you what this looks like at the AI literacy section. There are 31 resources at this point associated with this collection. Right now, there seems to be many conference presentations in here, but these are all, these are growing apace as more materials come out, are made available, and brought to the notice of the catalogers at ISKME. There's also, interestingly, a category of materials that will certainly grow. I mean, several presentations already have talked about the issue of identifying materials that are partially or completely co-authored by AI. So right now, we have, it looks like Peter's identified 10 resources where that is explicit. The authors have made clear the role of AI in creating their resources. And although there are style guides, of course, recommending citation styles, now it seems a bit of the Wild West. And so he has various means of identifying and tagging as a standard mean of tagging co-authored AI content. Some resources make this explicit. For instance, here's a podcast that where it's clear right up front, the resource was created using Google Notebook LM. So Bethany mentioned the fellows help with curation. Peter and his team curate the materials, but the community also has a role here. And we're hoping that you'll all become engaged in this. So there's a section on our hub that says how to submit resources. And the basic process for doing that is to set up an account. So register with OER Commons and then click this Add OER button. And it will be quickly evaluated by the ISKME team and added to the collections. And if it's falling into these categories, it will be made specific to this, linked as well to this AI OER section. There's a few other features that I'll touch on quickly. One is an events calendar. So thinking about again, the flood, the torrent of information about AI and even about AI and OER, I was really hoping that we could have a community-based events calendar, which is what ISKME created, so that all of us could enter our events, the ones that we host or the ones that we learn about, and we could have as a community a place to go to see what's coming up. I mean, I'm sure your mailbox, like mine, is flooded with announcements about initiatives, webinars, conferences that we would like to pay attention to, and it would really help to see them in one place. So um, it is a simple thing to submit a form and enter your event, and after a quick evaluation, it will be put into the events calendar. There's also this feature, which is groups, and this is a brand new feature. In fact, it was created yesterday. So this is a way, part of the original plan was to be able to host discussions around particular topics. And these topics here, these are groups that are associated, you might remember, with the collections that we took a quick look at above. I'm going to look at this AI 101 collection, or this group. Any one of you, and I hope you all do, can request to join a group in an area of which you have an interest. They're at the moment, again, brand new. We haven't pulled any resources into this group. And we have no members of this group yet, but this is the purpose of this group section, is that we will be able to host discussions around a range of topics that are, important and pressing to all of us now. I think, just an example, this morning I pulled in one resource, a literacy toolkit. Bethany and I think, are the only members of this group. So we're looking forward to seeing other members based on folks' interest in these topics. And then one other feature of this site that I wanted to bring up, let's see if I can back up here. Is this one. It's a Zotero library. It's a shared bibliography. So there is a lot being published. Much of it is not open, so it doesn't really qualify to be included in OER Commons, but we would like to keep track of this, and we'd like to be able to share our learnings. So we have created a bibliography in Zotero. If you're not a Zotero user, it's an easy thing to do, to set up a Zotero account and to join the group. So this is a library of links and also scholarship of various kinds that, again, doesn't qualify to be an OER Commons. It doesn't have the Creative Commons license. It isn't licensed as being open for educational use, but it's worth exploring. There's a strong research bent to this, but a lot of useful material can exist in this Zotero library. So when you register with Zotero, you can search for this group, OER-NAI, and you can request membership in this group. I'll be simply looking for an institutional affiliation or some indication that this is an area of interest for you. Once you're a member, you can add resources to the Zotero library. So in summary, what we'd like to invite you to do: register with OER Commons, check out the hub, the AI OER hub, explore the collections, suggest resources, add your own resources, add your events, join in on discussions in the groups, and also contribute to the Zotero library. So I said we mentioned next steps. So we will continue to populate and develop the hub. We have to focus now that it's in a state where the features are fairly well fleshed out. We have to focus on outreach and community building. We'd also like to conduct research. This was part of our original plan. The pilot project, again, lost its funding halfway through. But we would like to conduct research in partnership with others. If any of you would like to talk to us at the University of Virginia or talk to ISKME, talk to us collaboratively about partnering on research, we'd love to hear from you. And also, I'm very engaged in trying to secure further funding for the project. We have an advisory board for this project, with representation ranging from K-12 through higher education, as well as consortial and professional organizations. So we defined this program again. It was a pilot, it was a test. Would this fill a gap as we all try collaboratively to explore these issues together? I think that we've already heard about another collaborative project that is making great strides. Are there other programs that you would like to see? And are there things that you would want to suggest at this point that would further your own work? So you can ruminate on that, pop some comments into chat, or at this point, ask us questions. James, I'm not hearing you. Is that just me? Bethany, are you hearing him?
I'm not either, James. Nope, nope. James, while you're working on that, I'm just going to pop our email addresses. Judy mentioned any, follow-up or anything like that. If either or anybody wants to get in touch, we're always looking for those opportunities again to collaborate. So,
I think we're probably at the end of our session, but James, we're not.
Yes.
Here
Can
you
you hear
go.
me now?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm speaking through the camera now. Yeah, thank you very much. I apologize for not jumping in right at the perfect moment. There's so many wonderful things that you've let us take a look at. The oercommons.org is great. And I really hope that people do engage with that. I want to say thank you so much, Bethany and Judith, for your time and for showing all the things that you're actively showing us, and you're putting a lot of great material together so people can share what they have learned. And there's so many things that we need to share with each other when it comes to OER and AI and how that's going to be connected. So I just wanted to tell everybody that the next session will start in about 5 minutes. And everything that we have seen will be available through Zoom events. We're going to upload this session and the comments as well. So the comments information will also be available. So you can go back and make sure that you can reference everything that Judith and Bethany talked about today. So I want to say thank you again, and I really appreciate your professionalism and all that hard work you've been doing. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
thank you. Thanks so much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
You too.
Bye-bye.